it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, and I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's out to Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me, I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah,
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising and good morning, everybody out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And of course, we have a very great show for you today. Always going to be diving into some news you can use right here on the Morning Update Show. Always great to be in the studio with my co-host with the most, Big O. What up, Big O?
Trey Holiday.
Hey.
Man, happy Wednesday to you, huh?
Yeah. Middle of the day, middle of the week.
Yeah, the week is moving along. I'm glad someone has it on wide here. See, you're dressed for the occasion. You going to battle today, huh? You got the fatigues on and the Blacktivist sweatshirt.
Wednesdays, we really get into some deep news, man. I had to come correct today.
Okay, good stuff. Good. Speaking of news, man, we're joined today by Brian Callanan of the Seattle channel and also Seattle News, Views, and Brews, which you can watch tonight at 7 o'clock. He's going to be joining us. Mike Davis is a little bit under the weather, so he won't be on with us today. I know some people are disappointed, but we will have Julia Jesse on tomorrow. Yo, last Thursday was lit.
Oh my gosh. They were so serious, man. I'm telling you, you're right. Not only do you want to be on Clapback, I be wanting to be on Clapback.
I'm saying, can we get an invite on Clapback, please?
What's up?
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, with Brian, we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, you know, what's going on around City Hall and also the data and research that's come out on people's sentiment about things here in the city. But we'll go ahead and get right into it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. right now. Yes, right now is the perfect time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Pacific Northwest. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over the South Seattle Emerald and also KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. Remind everybody that you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Got a link for SoundCloud going in over there, but you can also check us out on Google, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere. Just search Converge Media Network. Time in the show right now. We want to remind people about hereforuswa.org. Hereforuswa.org. Culturally relevant information and resources for our community, for those that are vaccine hesitant, that, they're just not feeling the vaccine. Also, there's resources out there, though, if you do want to get vaccinated, testing, lots of other information that's out there. And man, COVID is real. It's real. We know some people.
Yeah.
Not me.
Look, and you know what? And the thing is that it's so serious. I mean, we're seeing spikes now. It looks like certain states across the nation are starting to, do that thing where they say, wait a minute, we went too far. And now we need to bring back the restriction of indoor mask mandates. And so we're seeing that happen. I will not be surprised if we have to go back to that. This is why a lot of people, when they took the restrictions off, people were like, man, I'm keeping my mask on, man. I'm not doing it.
Man, a lot of people was like, tell me where to go. Yeah. Tell me where to go. Tell me where to go. Tell me where to go, stupid. Go dumb. Yo, the real, yeah. Some people are going back into the mask. I mean, one thing, though, is that there's these different variants. I'm no expert, but we can call Department of Health and Public Health, Seattle, King County. But some of the variants that are going on around right now, they're not nearly as as powerful as the previous ones in the hospitalization, but it's still laying people up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and when we talk about the changing weathers we have, particularly here in the Pacific Northwest, with all of the sleet, rain, hail. I mean, it was crazy yesterday with the weather. That also, causes spikes in people just getting the common cold, which I think sometimes now people are like, is the common cold just COVID? Is everything COVID?
Listen, if you're I'm bouncing. No, it's just no. Pretty soon, though, it's gonna be allergy season, though. Then you really ain't gonna know what to do. Damn, right. Buddy over there rubbing his eyes, coughing, sneezing. Is it COVID? Is it allergies? Is it a cough? But all the same, though, man, good resources there at hereforuswa.org. Want to give a big shout out. Say, I had to pick up my phone over Daryl. DQ, Daryl Glover watching today. We got a big dog watching this morning, Triana.
Hey, that's one of the originals right here for the Morning Update Show. We appreciate you so much, everything you brought to this Morning Update Show to get us launched. DQ in the building.
Yeah, listen, can you put on wide here real quick? That's on mine. So down there, you'll see a logo. It says Dancing in the Rain. It's in between Blendiana Jones and Ezel's Famous Chicken. That's Dancing in the Rain right there. That's Daryl Glover. And let me tell you real quick, I won't take up too much time. The Morning Update Show started, like you need the people. So that's like me and Treyana here and everything. And you need the place. And that's Black Dot there on Jackson. But most importantly, you need the equipment. And, at the time we were, we didn't have any streaming equipment. We didn't own any of that, right? We knew we wanted to do the show. And I talked to Daryl. I thought it was going to be like a 30-minute conversation, maybe longer. I got to convince him of this and that. Within the first 2-3 minutes, he was like, oh, whatever you need. He said, this is for community? I said, yeah. I said, that also means we ain't got no money. He said, yeah. And man, Daryl literally directed hundreds of episodes of the Morning Update Show. So glad that you're joining us this morning. And, I will say this. Daryl came here the other day into the studio and he was telling somebody, he's like, oh yeah, you young kids, you got it easy. He was like, you young kids, you got it easy because, we said we might start with an audience of 2, but we have to work like it's 2 million watching every day. And man, so big shout out, Daryl. Appreciate you, brother.
Much love, DQ, always.
Yeah, no, good stuff. What else we got here? Oh, the timeline is winding down here to get into the bag that is for culture. So for culture, the grant deadline April 20th, man. You know, if you're real serious about, because one thing for sure is sport culture is serious on their end. And if people are real serious about these grants, the deadline's getting close.
It is coming up next week. And so, you know, we have been keeping this message alive and well here on the Morning Update Show. If you know of any artists that are, you know, established artists, new artists looking to do some projects around arts, preservation, and heritage, please make sure they know about this funding source. And one thing I want to say too about this is that, you know, we understand, particularly in Seattle, but in cities all throughout King County, that there has been a huge suffrage, honestly, when it comes to gentrification. So there's something to be said about these preservation and heritage projects that really are going to be able to spotlight culture that sometimes looks like it's not there anymore. And so I just want to say, shout out to For Culture for being really intentional with these funds.
Yeah, no, good stuff. It looks like I skipped over something here. So we'll go back one. This came over from Deal yesterday. And we talked about it here for a bit. Is it still in there? Yep. There it is right there. So this is from the Department of Education and Early Learning. Well, it got me. All right. So new funding opportunity here. We talked about this is $1 million in the pot over there at Deal. And they're looking for community-based organizations to be able to engage with school-age kids. I mean, we talked about like after-school programs, preparing kids for college. There's one more. There's a link there in the comments. But there's a great opportunity because we always talk about the investment that goes into intervention. A big part of this is investment clearly in education, but also investment in education is an investment in prevention.
It really is. And, you know, one of the things that I think is really key about this funding, you can get up to $75,000 for summer programs running from June to August. And that's really saying something when you're talking about, you know, injecting funding to get some staff, some instructors, you know, maybe some coordinators for the program to make sure that young folks have opportunities to really, you know, dive in during their summer months. It's important.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we had the time here, but like if I had the time, what I would do is, man, college preparation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I do a program in college preparation, you know, and you know, really preparing people for that step academically, you know, getting applications together, how to write the essays, how to be prepared to go into that space, and, you know, and everything else. I wish there was more hours in the day, but you know, the resources are out there, $1 million, and you said up to $75,000, man. The link is there in the comments. We have so many amazing organizations in our community. There's an opportunity to uplift our youth.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, shout out to those who are already doing it. You know, take this as an opportunity to inject much needed funds into some of the programs you guys may already be thinking about. Of course, they have the requirements there, but check it out.
All right. So got an email early this morning, and it looks like the race for King County Prosecutor just got a little bit smaller. We got an overlay up here. King County Prosecutor, there it is. County Prosecutor candidate Stephan Thomas, focusing on family, will withdraw. And this is from a release this morning. It said, transforming King County's justice system will take a steadfast leader, unencumbered by competing priorities. When I started this campaign, my family and personal health were strong. But since I launched, we've faced several unexpected emergencies. These areas now require the utmost care and attention. As a result, I'm unable to run the campaign needed to transform justice in our community.
Yeah, this is oh man, you know, for somebody like myself who's always interested in moving things forward, changing the systems of inequity to systems of equity, really being able to center the lived experience of those who are at the you know, the base of so many of these systems. I really appreciated Stephan Thomas's approach. So to hear this, I was like, oh man, you know, who's going to step step up and fill that void and say, what we really need to be doing is centering those who are at the base of the criminal justice system, to understand how to transform it and how to do it in a different way. This is something that is so needed when we're talking about criminal justice. And for many in our community, we say criminal injustice because we understand that we suffer from, these systems of oppression and racism. And it's important to really look at that as we think about the next King County prosecutor. So this is like oh man, I understand though, taking care of families first.
It sounds like you were a fan.
Well, you know what? Actually being able to interview him gave me a deeper concept for, not only what he was looking to do, but for his history and why he was taking such a bold approach. And, I told him then, I said, I think that's what's needed right now. We talk about it all the time. When we're talking about our elected officials, we need people who are going to get in there and want to shake things up, man. Shake off that dust.
Yeah, and I might have to revise my race predictions here around this race, because I was predicting the old school Willie what was it? Not Willie Lynch, Horton. When basically it was going to be a real polarizing race there that kind of subliminally, all these stuff, all these kind of things that we talked about. I really predicted a real ugly race. You know what I'm saying? Black dudes out the race now, so it might become more civilized. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, he's out of here. Next up, this from our partners at Capitol Hill Seattle blog, and they're talking about rents. Yeah, man. With any pandemic slowdown long gone, cost of renting in Seattle has surged 18.9% in 1 year. Yes, 18.9% in 1 year. Median apartment rents in Seattle have increased dramatically during the past year due to low rates of vacancy and a climb from falling prices at the start of the pandemic, according to an industry tracker. Apartment List just released a national rent report, and its findings provide an image of an increasingly costly Seattle for renters. The report finds that rent in Seattle increased by 18.9% over the past year, considerably higher than the national average increase of 17.1% during that time. It says here, as per the report, the median monthly rent of a two-bedroom apartment in the city of Seattle weighs in at a staggering $2,097, over $700 more per month than the nationwide average of $1,306. One bedroom in Seattle are similarly high, climbing to $1,681 against a national average of $1,139.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is the stuff that we talk about without the numbers all the time. Oh, and the truth of the matter is that we're not shocked that the data actually supports what we be talking about right here on the Morning Update Show. We understand that affordability has been a major issue for the city. I know it's something that many were seeking Mayor Harrell's office to really address, not just about homelessness, but again, the trends that cause homelessness and increasing costs of rent is one of those trends. If we are not looking at that, then we are really, tricking ourselves into believing that, the systems of, characteristics that people have said, surround homelessness are the only reasons why people are homeless. No, we talk about a lot of working poor families. We talk about families that are going from one friend's house to another friend's house. We talk about people sleeping in their cars, but having two jobs. I mean, this is real. Oh,
yeah. The rent is too damn high. You know what I'm saying? Like, what 100%? Put that link in the comments if you haven't already, Salman. This is from Capitol Hill Seattle blog, capitolhillseattle.com. Yeah, I mean, the rent is, it's astronomical. And then when you talk about homeless, so it's like, it's crazy. I don't claim to be an expert, but, we're learning as fast as we can here. There's also, when people see unhoused and everything else that are around here, a lot of times people put everybody in a category. Oh, they have chemical addiction or mental health and things like that. And people are struggling with those things. But there's quite a few people that I've talked to here because, I'm a talkative person. And, these are still our larger Seattle community members, our King County community members. So talk to guys and, you'd be surprised how many people didn't come to the streets with an addiction or didn't come to the streets with suffering mental illness. But once they were on the streets, I mean, man, like a night like tonight, how you gonna sleep if you sleep in the streets and it's cold out there? You know what I'm saying? You might be, you know what I'm saying? You might be doing this or doing that to get through the night. I mean, there's so many compounding issues. But the larger one, back to the point here, is the rent is high. It is driving people out of this city, and clearly it's bringing people in who can afford it.
Yeah, that's actually the issue too that I think needs to be mitigated is the fact that we do have some jobs here that allow for you to make way over area median income, and that is true. So I think it's a balanced approach as we get to creating pipelines for people from the global majority to participate in those jobs, those that have been kind of disenfranchised from participation in certain roles. How do we open that up? But also, how do we think about, how to level this off? This is really huge numbers. You're talking about $700 over the national average. That is really showcasing how increasingly inaffordable this city has become. And I do think it's, not just the mayor's job. It's a comprehensive approach that needs to happen for multiple factors.
The mayor don't own no buildings, at least that we know of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, part of this as well is just like, I mean, these guys, they're charging what they know that they can get, as opposed to like, maybe not. But this is, I hear what you're saying, and the mayors are the executive and legislative branches of government here need to really look at this and see how it's impacting. But yeah, this is a lot of people. There's people I know, especially up on Capitol Hill, where the landlords it was like, the rent was like $700, and now they can get $2,800 or something for it. It's like, yeah, bro, either pay $2,800 or get out, and that's why so many people have fled the city. And that's something that we got to look at here is actually what we value. What do we value here in our city? What's important to us, because with a lot of people leaving this city because of rising rents, goes with it a lot of heart, soul, culture, you know what I'm saying? Generational commitments and generational people who've been here for generations building up our city and its culture and legacy. Yeah, it's wild.
It really is. And I think you make a valid point here. It also goes to regulations. We've been talking about rent regulations. There's a lot of different movements and initiatives that have really tried to put a cap on this. The idea is that, landlords, particularly landlords that own, large complexes for rental, how are they being regulated? I think there's so much to be said there. Oh, so you're absolutely right. Some of these things have really gone off the scales when we talk about it. And we understand too, just as we've been reporting earlier this week around inflation, we understand that that's, at an all-time high as well. So there's again, compounding things happening here that are, really leading toward this effort of, or toward this understanding now of how expensive it is to be here in the city. But again, this is why it needs to take a multifaceted approach.
Yo, the rent is too damn high. I gotta say it again with the straight face. Hold on. The rent is too damn high. All right, we got one more thing up here. Oh, this is from our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald. And man, this is a dope article right here. This is where is it at? There it is. The Urban Fresh Food Collective tackles food insecurity in South Park. So since 2018, the Urban Fresh Food Collective has been making fresh food accessible in South Park, one of Seattle's food deserts. Believe it or not, food deserts here in Seattle, there's quite a few. What started as a passionate group of South Park residents has now become a team of leaders committed to honoring the community through its various programs. They remind us that despite Seattle's seemingly progressive reputation, there are still neighborhoods without easy access to fresh foods. Now, members distribute fresh food and groceries every Tuesday and the first and third Fridays of the month to low-income families and individuals living in South King County with pickup in the South Park neighborhood. They also deliver food boxes twice a month to low-income families that have physical issues, elders living alone, and families with illnesses such as COVID-19 that put them in quarantine. And, you know, the thing is that neighborhood out there, when you're talking about South Park and everything else, I mean, you got the Duwamish right here, 509 right here, 99 right there. I mean, they're really excluded from a lot of different services out there. So it's really good to see this program.
It really is. And, you know, I just got to say, shout out to everybody who really gives their time, attention, and energy to such an amazing effort out there. You know, what we think nationally when we talk about Seattle, I think a lot of people just assume that we don't have fresh food deserts here. You know, we talk about a lot of urban areas throughout the country. I know I've seen different documentaries and other reports on this from a lot of kind of, you know, again, heavy urban neighborhoods. But the idea is that we actually suffer from that right here in, you know, throughout King County is real. And I really appreciate this effort. I think it's so needed for the residents out there in South Park. You know, they are doing this for Seattle and King County residents. So again, even if you don't live in the South Park neighborhood, you are able to still participate in this program. And the fact that they have really, this reminds me of mutual aid back in the CHOP. I just got to say, because it was like, you know what? Everybody was coming together to support everybody else and to support the needs that were out there. This is an amazing effort we see here. I'm so glad that it has continued in this way.
Yeah, this is definitely mutual aid.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? The Urban Fresh Food Collective, Salman has put the link in the comments there. You can read more about it at our partners over there at the South Seattle Emerald. All right. That's all of our headlines for now.
Great headlines, by the way. I mean, I'm really appreciating these discussions with you. Oh,
the rent is too damn high. Just thought I'd remind everybody.
It's true.
you know
we were just talking about that mayor who did somebody trying to go after a campaign like that. And it is so true to this day. It's still too damn high.
It's wild. All right. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, there he is, Brian Callanan, host and moderator from the Seattle channel, also host of Seattle News, Views, and Brews, which comes on tonight at 7 o'clock right here on Converge. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey y'all, it's T-Dub once again bringing you the word on art funding in King County. Are you working on an arts, heritage, or preservation project? Well, get that project you've been dreaming of underway today as applications for Four Culture's project grants are now open. Project Grants is one of the largest grant programs Four Culture offers, supporting the creative endeavors of individuals and groups working in the arts, heritage, and preservation. They have a lot of resources available to help you navigate the process, including virtual workshops happening weekly. But I'm going to take a quick moment to break down the three categories for project funding. There's funding for art projects. Whether you're an individual or a group, no matter your style or discipline, Four Culture has you covered. Heritage projects fund works uncovering, illuminating, and sharing the rich history that is all around us in King County. So if you're working on an oral history research or an online exhibition, heritage projects can fund it all. And preservation special project grants are designed to support efforts to preserve and safeguard a historic site or building in King County. This includes neighborhood surveys, landmark nominations, and much more. The deadline to apply is April 20th, so head over to fourculture.org/project grants for more information.
As a non-binary Black femme, a lot of my identity is rooted in body. Once the vaccine was introduced, it was really difficult to think in terms of safety as well as autonomy. As a Black American, the relationship with government is very complicated. It's hard to trust. A lot of these conspiracies are really impacting people making a decision, especially with Black folks, to be clear about what we're doing. I think it's just a well-rounded conversation to see what's best for us.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. You see it right there, Seattle News, Views, and Brews tonight at 7 o'clock. Brian Callanan, as well as David Croman from the Seattle Times. Join us right now on the set, like clockwork. Brian Callanan, how are you?
I'm good. I should have brought my Converge scarf.
Yeah.
A little chilly out there today, man. You know what I'm saying?
Look at him. Yeah. I mean, I have to put mine on.
It's
Thanks
that
for
kind
the
of weather.
reminder.
Yeah. Get the swag moving, you know.
Yeah, man. We were just talking. Rent's too damn high.
I know. We got to bring back that Jimmy McMillan clip and just play it whenever that happens.
You know what I'm saying? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, as usual, you're always filling us in what's going on over there at City Hall, and also what people can expect on the show, man. So let's get it going.
Yeah, I wanted to talk first about hiring bonuses, which is something that the city council has been talking about for some time. This is an issue where Seattle Police Department especially is asking for these hiring bonuses. And this is something that was discussed just yesterday in the Public Safety Committee for the Seattle City Council. And I'm going to show you a soundbite here in just a little bit that has two pieces to it. The first piece is Lisa Herbold, who actually chairs that committee there. And coming up after her is Sarah Nelson. And we're talking about two different viewpoints here. So Lisa Herbold is saying, you know what? We've actually studied what has happened when these hiring bonuses were in place at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Doesn't look like they've had that much effect in terms of bringing in police officers. A few coming into the communications department, the CSCC, but not a lot of applications from police officers. But then you've got Sarah Nelson, the citywide candidate, who's saying, you know what? I'm concerned about this because this is a situation where a lot of other agencies around our area have these hiring bonuses, and that could turn into a problem for the city of Seattle. So let's listen in real quick.
It's not clear for SPD that the bonuses resulted in more people applying. But it does appear that it had that function for CSCC.
It has been shown to work in other cities. Pretty much most, if not all, cities in our region do have this, and it's been said that we need to level the playing field for offering our officers this. Otherwise, we're going to lose them to other departments.
So this is the big issue that is before the city council right now. Councilmember Herbold is trying to put something in place such that there is a broader hiring incentive program going on in the city of Seattle, because it's not just Seattle Police Department that has lost employees over the past couple years here. The city is in great need of carpenters, of electricians, of IT people, even some veterinarians in some cases there. So there's a lot of different things that the city of Seattle is trying to attract people in terms of bringing it in. Of course, the hot button issue here, Omari, is what happens with police officers. And I can't help but think there's almost a bit of an arms race going on here. How much can you offer in terms of a hiring bonus here? And maybe that's the wrong phrase to use here, but I think it's a competition that's going on between agencies.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that's missing in this conversation is what type of officers.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an officer, it turns out, it was an officer trolling me on Twitter. It turns out he was an actual police officer.
Okay.
And before he came here, he was a VIP host in Las Vegas.
Interesting.
But because the pay here was so high, we attracted a lot of officers to Seattle because this is one of the highest paying forces in America, right? Yeah. And so offering a bonus and offering high pay without some kind of check-in to be like, oh, these are the officers that we want on our force.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not hearing from this conversation here on either side of it. Like comprehensively, are they going to looking to invest in and maybe even recruiting as opposed to here's a bonus, come find us?
Right.
Are they actively recruiting people that actually match up with the values of our city as opposed to I can go to Seattle and just get a big paycheck?
Right. And that's the big concern here, because I think the dollars aren't the only situation that are going on here. Councilmember Herbold brought up that when there was a hiring bonus in place in 2019, granted before the pandemic or whatever else, it was a situation where 1 out of 5 people who applied for the job said the bonus was a big reason why they did that. So in looking at this, I think you're absolutely right. The type of candidate that is coming in is a crucial piece to this. Are they college educated? Perhaps they are, perhaps they aren't. In those cases, I do know that when officers are college educated, they're less likely to use force, things of this nature. So I think the type of candidate that Seattle is trying to bring in is super crucial. I'm looking ahead to June when the academy, the state academy that trains police officers, is working on a Seattle-specific situation where they're going to have officers that will go directly to the SPD. It'll just be a group there for SPD officers. So I think there's a lot of pieces at play here.
Yeah, I think that if they're gonna go that route, they need to be innovative about it. I know there were some cities across America a few years ago that said, hey, if you're going to come here, then you're going to live in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they made, it was some kind of, that's where the bonus went. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, the rent's too damn high. But here's a bonus here. You know what I'm saying? To live in the city or live in the community. Or how, what kind of effort is being made? Seattle touts itself as this place of diversity.
Sure.
What efforts are being made to be able to recruit a force that looks like that? So just throwing, as we can see with every other problem in the city, just throwing money at it doesn't fix it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I really think that we'd probably get a different result if a lot of a lot of people lived in the city and lived in the neighborhoods that they served in.
That's a huge piece of this. And I think that affordability issue overlays every single issue that we deal with here in the city of Seattle. But this is one of those situations where you can bring people in, and it sounds like, at least from what Interim Chief Diaz is saying, these hiring bonuses have been used as almost a relocation fee, a moving fee, if you will, to bring officers here. But I think long term, the big issue I'm seeing here, just looking a few steps back, Omari, the Seattle Police Department has lost so many officers over the past couple of years here. They're trying to throw just about anything they can out there to try to bring in some more possible recruits, because they're looking for lateral hires too, right? Coming from other agencies there. But that's the whole issue. Can they offer more than the city of Everett? Can they offer more than King County? And so I'm not quite sure, but I do know a lot of different agencies, not just city of Seattle, are losing officers.
So this is coming down to who can pay the officers the most.
Maybe. It could be who's got the deepest pockets. I'm not sure. But I do know there are a number of cities around our region that are doing that. And it, unfortunately, I don't want to say it turns into a race to the bottom.
But also, it's crazy. A lot of other cities around our region are pretty much homogeneous, man, for the most part. I mean, Seattle's just almost there with 7% Black population. You have a wider, this term they use, people of color population here. But when you're going into other areas around Seattle, I mean, they're not, the expectations around diversity and understanding different cultures, community, history, communities and everything else, it's a bit different.
And I wondered if I could take it to another topic,
sure,
Omar, because that whole concept of diversity, especially within a police force or a law enforcement agency, I think that's right at the center of what's going on for the King County Sheriff's Office right now. Because, as you know, we've got 3 candidates out there. We've got Patty Cole-Tyndall, who served as the interim sheriff. She has held that role since last year. Then you've got Charles Kimball, who's the candidate from Texas. You've got Reginald Mormon, who's the candidate from Atlanta. They're all people of color. And this was really interesting if you think about it. Patty Cole-Tyndall, when she was named interim sheriff last year, that was the first person of color, not first woman or anything like that, but first person of color who had ever held that job for King County. We're talking 2021. So I will say this, the candidates that are coming in, we're guaranteed to have another person of color in that role. But I think about that, and then I think about, I don't know, I think about the Seattle Police Department too, which is also looking for a new leader. So there's 2 potentially new leaders here if they don't choose the interim chief coming in.
I'm going to tell you like this. Is I hope whoever these candidates are coming in for the sheriff's office don't come into downtown Seattle and don't roll around the municipality of Seattle and thinking that this is your job, because believe me, the rest of Martin Luther King County moves in a much different way than the municipality here. And you've also, excuse me, in county government as a whole, lots of great people in county government, but in county government as a whole, there is a portion of county government that are really kind of pissed because when they started working there 20 years ago, a lot of areas that they live in were like white areas. And now 20, 30 years later, these are very senior people in county government. They're not really happy at a lot of the diversity that's occurred out there. So, I would say my little 2 cents of advice that none of the sheriff candidates asked for is like, man, do some real soul searching and really understand what you getting into coming out here, because just being in Seattle could kind of mislead you into thinking of what the rest of Martin Luther King County is like.
I think it's a changing process. And as I say, Patty Cole-Tyndall being the first person of color ever to have that role for King County, that's a big deal. But I think this is all changing because of what happened back in 2020 when we as King County said, all right, this is going to be an appointed position, not an elected position, because a lot of times when it was an elected position, great, it's somebody who's rolling up the ranks for a King County sheriff. That part of it sounds good, but there wasn't a lot of diversity there. So I think this choice by Executive Constantine to bring in 2 more people of color to guarantee that the next sheriff we're going to have is another person of color, I think is an important part of it. Is it a big change? Is it going to change the entire? It's going to be different.
We'll see though, because this also could just be the next person that gets sabotaged.
Possible.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, man, Chief Best was all this fanfare. Chief Best is here. This black woman, this and that. Chief Best, was surrounded by a lot of people working against her best interest.
Yeah.
But inside the Seattle Police Department, they ain't want to see this black woman there in this, but they clap their hands, hey, Chief, and this and that. But behind the scenes, working against the best interest. So, you know what I'm saying? We'll see. This is the problem sometimes, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like, man, we can't just never get something and just be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping for the best, though. As usual, I'm an optimist.
That's
I'm
true.
always hoping for the best.
Yes.
But I just know that, like, we would be fools to sit here and think that just a black sheriff coming in is going to be all good when they might be working against people 20, 30 years in the sheriff's department and other agencies that are actively working against that sheriff.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's a step towards progress, Omari, at the end of the day, because I hear exactly what you're saying there. And it's something that I want everybody to be keeping an eye on. There will be some public back and forth with these candidates, some public conferences, if you will, on the 18th and 21st of this month. So keep an eye out for that. King County TV is going to be working on that. So I think there will be some chances to ask questions like this and get really real about some of these different concerns, because they're very real.
You know me, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to ask directly. What you going to do for keeping these other deputies who don't like you and want to work against you? How are you going to be able to navigate? Keep it real. You know what I'm saying? People, we need to ask those kind of questions because we see what happens. You mentioned Lisa Herbold, and not to get in our mini time machine here, but Lisa Herbold, during the protest, the day of that the Proud Boy hoax, Lisa Herbold said that she called Chief Best and was like, hey, Chief, what's going on with the Proud Boys and everything else? Chief called over to her commanders, and they were like, oh, no, everything's good, Chief. You see what I'm saying? And so, I mean, we would be fools to think that bringing in a black sheriff over here is going to make everything howdy-doody. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not. It's not. I'm hoping it's a step towards progress, like I say, but this is not the answer. It's a constant issue.
And I like how you said we got to pay attention.
Yeah, for sure. I wondered if I could move to another topic that we're talking about this evening that's really interesting, and one I touched on last week when I was here on Converge. And this is this issue of the pay up legislation that the city council is working on. This is also in the Public Safety and Human Services Committee. It's something that Councilmember Herbold is working on as well. And this is something that would guarantee a minimum wage, also some other worker benefits, but guarantee a minimum wage for people who drive for DoorDash, for people who drive for Instacart, things of this nature, the food delivery folks out there, right? So you'll remember a couple years ago, the city was able to pass a measure guaranteeing a minimum wage for Uber and Lyft drivers. That happened in the city of Seattle in 2020. Just this past session, earlier this year, our state legislature took the ball on that, ran with it. Now, everywhere in the state, there is a minimum wage for these Uber and Lyft drivers. So those TNCs, those transportation network companies, they are covered there. That state level is a little bit lower than what you get paid in Seattle. But again, we're seeing some progress on that level. What we're seeing right now with this pay up legislation is trying to cover these other folks out there. Because when you think about it, over the past couple of years here, in terms of people who you could really argue were frontline folks out there working, I'm talking about people who were working for Instacart. I'm talking about people who were working for DoorDash. When you didn't want to leave your home, these were the people who were out there doing the job and making sure that food was getting to people. So what the city council is trying to do is to offer some protections there. Now, they are getting some pushback from the larger companies like DoorDash, et cetera, but they have been working with those companies, talking with them over the past year plus. There's a little bit of pushback on the council as well. Sarah Nelson, again, is voicing some concern about this, saying this might cause some unintended consequences here. But I'm interested to see this one play out because as we saw it with the TNCs, these drivers out there, it was a city measure that passed first, and then it moved up to the state level, and there was some action. Could this be a situation where we see this at the city level and it moves up to the state level again? Because I just want to make sure I get this point in here. This is a situation where all these big companies, Uber, et cetera, they don't want their workers to be known as employees because that requires a lot of different things, not just wages or whatever else, but a number of other protections at the state and federal level here. They're trying to keep them classified as independent contractors. Now, will that mean some extra dollars coming in? Possibly. It looks like at least what happened in our state here with the TNCs at the state level, it looks like they are willing to provide some more dollars right there and maybe some other protections as well. But this is just such an interesting topic, I think. It's happening at the city level, and it could have some larger state impacts too.
Right. I think that the city of Seattle needs to remove all these taxes that they have on the food delivery and play their part. So perfect example, right? I'm working on my my build here.
Okay.
And so I wanted some food delivered
Yeah.
from Veggie Grill, right?
Sure.
And so Veggie Grill, they're like, oh, click here for if you want it delivered. It's like DoorDash or Uber Eats. What I ordered was $15.
Yeah.
To get it delivered,
Yeah.
it ended up being $32. So I scrapped that and just walked down to Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And got a sandwich for $9.
Yeah.
The fact that the food's $15, it's 6-7 blocks away.
Yeah.
And then after all the fees is $30. So at a big part of the fees is city of Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I think people should get paid more money, but like maybe the city should ease up on some of their taxes and fees and that and play their part as well.
Right. I hear you on that one. It's a bit of a back and forth because the relationship between some of these delivery places and the restaurants has not been all that great at sometimes because these delivery places were like, yeah, we'll deliver that restaurant's food to you. And the restaurant's like, whoa, we didn't even know that you were delivering this stuff. Then it turns up at somebody's place and it's cold or whatever else. They get mad at the restaurant and DoorDash or whatever else is like, well, not our bad or whatever else. So I think there's been some work by the city to make sure that this relationship between the restaurants, who they want to protect, because those industries or those merchants, I would say, really got hammered over the past couple of years. So they're trying to offer some different protections. I hear you loud and clear about those different taxes, but this is the way that these bigger companies like Uber and Lyft, DoorDash, et cetera, have disrupted so many parts of our economy here. The city's trying to claw back what it can so that it can have some protections in place for these different workers. I'm just showing you the other side of the coin.
Yeah, no, and you got people like Salman who refuses to get anything delivered.
Yeah.
Salman, he'll order for pickup, but he's like, man, you know what? I need to go there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good stuff, Salman.
Well,
bad.
Yeah, no, get real. I mean, the rent's too damn high, right? We got to save money where we can. So that's not unwise. That's not unwise. That's for sure. You got to be careful with that stuff. And it's going to be something that the Seattle City Council is talking about here with this pay up legislation over the next several weeks. This one is a very delicate piece of legislation that's in play right now. So watching it closely, it looks like sometime middle of May, Councilmember Herbal would like it to come before the full council for a vote so they can pass it. It's going to be interesting to see which ally she has on that side when it comes to this legislation.
Yeah. And I mean, I would just say in a broader sense, the people who was out there in the streets, the people who showed up to work every day and was delivering food and this and that, and it would be messed up. You know, I know a few people who did Instacart and they go deliver all these groceries and the tip be in there, and then people go and change the tip on them later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And all this funny Bennett, man, them people, they deserve an uplift. You know, I'll be honest with I got no problem. You know, I used to drive Uber and Lyft, you know, pushing this converged vision, trying to save a few bucks, trying to first earn a few bucks to save a few bucks to get here. You know what I'm saying? I used to sell beer and peanuts over there at the ballpark. Like, I know what it is, what time it is. And you know what I'm saying? And if we could find a way to be able to secure these guys and you know, around their pay and everything, I think it's dope. I think it should just probably figure out the best way to be able to work, you know, with the stakeholders.
And try to figure out a real way to do it quickly, because I think one of the real big stats that jumped out at me was we've got 40,000 plus people working in the city of Seattle who are app-based workers. That's a lot of folks out there when you think about it, right? So they don't have the same type of protections that employees have, that if you're an employee, you really assume that you're going to get a minimum wage, all these different workplace protections, et cetera. They don't have that. So I think what we're talking about here, and Councilmember Lewis brought this up last week in talking about this issue with pay up, we're talking about the future of work. We're going to continue to see these different disruptions within the tech industry here. It's going to change the way our workplace happens. It's going to change the way that people are actually able to earn money. So if we're not able to keep an eye on that and control that in some way, it could turn into a situation where these workers are taken advantage of. I think that's the way the city's looking at this. Are there a lot of different issues on top of that? Of course, but that's kind of where the city's starting from on this one.
Man, I'm glad that you keep an eye on this.
I'm trying. Yeah.
We used up a good portion of our time, but I did want to see if you had any takeaways from this research from the chamber.
Yeah, this was really interesting. So this is a report from the Metropolitan Chamber of the Greater Seattle area, and they're talking about some of the results that they have from a poll, which shows that more people are concerned about public safety right now than when they had this poll last in the fall. And so I guess my takeaway from that is I'm not really surprised because we've seen so much of this coverage in the news in terms of what Mayor Harrell's trying to do with Operation New Day on 3rd Avenue, whatever else. This is in the media a lot. So people are paying attention to this a lot. When they see these different images on TV of people smoking in the street or dealing drugs in the street or selling goods in the street that they have stolen, I think there's a lot more awareness about this right now. So I'm not really surprised by these numbers. I am a little concerned about how they're going to be used because I think, got to consider the source as always. The Metro Chamber has a number of different businesses that supported Mayor Harrell. I think they're trying to keep that pressure on so that this effort that the mayor started with at the beginning of the year continues to go because these businesses, which were very important to getting him elected, are getting answered. I think that's a piece of this.
Yeah, that's a good angle. That's what I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Them dots. The conversation Treyana and I had yesterday is real interesting in this city of Seattle here. You know what I'm saying? That we've been dealing with every issue that's in there and yelling at the top of our lungs for the longest, and no one has cared. And now when people care because it's impacting them, they circumvent the fact and then also make it seem like, and I'm not talking about this poll per se, I'm just talking about here in the media and different groups, they make it seem like they're the first people to ever say anything about it. And so this is poor people are impacted by crime disproportionately. Who you think is impacted by crime more? Who do you think is impacted by gun violence and murder more? Who do you think is impacted by homelessness and the verge of being homeless? These are things here at Converge and all across our community. People have been yelling at the top of our lungs. No one has cared. No one cares until it now hits the affluent neighborhoods, the affluent businesses. Businesses in our neighborhood impacted all the time. Somebody gets shot next to a restaurant. You don't think that impacts them?
Sure.
So it's just, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I'm glad that people are doing, overall research, and I'm glad that with this right here. And I don't want to convolute the chamber's research with my overall sentiment of what's happening here in Seattle right now, that all of a sudden people like, everybody has been quiet for years.
No.
And now it's time. I'm like, what?
No.
We've been on, let me go run the tape.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody to see numbers like this. And you're right. This isn't just an issue for downtown. This is an issue all over the city of Seattle. Talk to somebody up in North Seattle about this. It's real. Talk to people in Southeast Seattle about this for sure. These are issues that affect every single neighborhood out there. I know that I'm going to a meeting at the end of this month in West Seattle where I live, where they're talking about public safety outreach there because it's a big issue there too. If you don't know now, you know. There's a lot of different bubbles out there where people can stay in or whatever else and not really think about it. But these are issues that are happening in every different neighborhood. Again, I'm also glad that the chamber is elevating the issue, keeping it in people's viewpoints. But there's a lot of other people out there that have been saying this for a long time.
And I think it's a good conversation with these numbers. And, we're going to continue to dive deeper into research around it. We got to cut you loose, Brian, but you can tell everybody how they keep up with you.
Cool. All right. Well, make sure you check out Seattle News, Views and Brews right here on Converge, 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. Also, connect with me on Twitter at Callanan Seattle. Would love to connect with you there, and you can support the show on Patreon. That's cool, too. Omari, thanks for having me, man.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Cool. We'll take a quick break right now. When we come back, Trey Holiday returns to the set. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
When COVID first hit, I was very afraid. There was so much things that I had to keep inside because I didn't know where to place my feelings. Most of my information for COVID is from my own research. I'm a doctor in educational leadership, and when the FDA approved Pfizer, it helped me realize that the vaccination is healthy. We don't want to be left behind because we're not taking the vaccine, but we want to get as much information as possible so that we are putting ourselves in better hands and not at great risk.
Hey y'all, it's T-Dub once again bringing you the word on art funding in King County. Are you working on an arts, heritage, or preservation project? Well, get that project you've been dreaming of underway today as applications for 4Culture's project grants are now open. Project Grants is one of the largest grant programs 4Culture offers, supporting the creative endeavors of individuals and groups working in the arts, heritage, and preservation. They have a lot of resources available to help you navigate the process, including virtual workshops happening weekly. But I'm going to take a quick moment to break down the 3 categories for project funding. There's funding for art projects. Whether you're an individual or a group, no matter your style or discipline, 4Culture has you covered. Heritage projects fund works uncovering, illuminating, and sharing the rich history that is all around us in King County. So if you're working on an oral history research or an online exhibition, heritage projects can fund it all. And preservation, special project grants are designed to support efforts to preserve and safeguard a historic site or building in King County. This includes neighborhood surveys, landmark nominations, and much more. The deadline to apply is April 20th, so head over to 4culture.org/project grants for more information.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Trey Holiday back here on the set. Brian Callanan, as usual, man, does his thing.
You know, I really enjoy when Brian comes on. I mean, he really, provides insight that normally we don't have here, right? Like, he's talking about some deep issues that are happening at the Seattle City Council level. And I'll be honest, it takes me back to our good old days of the wordy and nerdy Kevin Schofield.
Skull Money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Skull Money used to pop it all the time.
Yeah. So it's really great to hear from Brian's perspective some of the major things that are going on. And I think it always is going to reflect our lived experience when we're able to give our own opinions on what's going on or our perspective. I think it's important. It's always great conversation.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so a few things before we get out of here. We don't have an image or graphic to go with it, but man, just confirmed with the Seattle Ballet. And so, man, some of the ballet dancers from Swan Lake, they'll be here next Tuesday. I know that you're all excited about it.
Yeah, once again, Pacific Northwest Ballet is just really becoming such a great partner with us here at Converge Media. And I'm definitely looking forward to these interviews. Also looking forward to seeing the show. I think I'll be taking my niece, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. No, man.
It's a classic show.
No, for sure. A few notes here. So tonight, again, 7 o'clock, Seattle News, Views, and Brews. You check that out. And then tomorrow, we got that in there. Sorry about that, someone. That was my fault. And then tomorrow, we've got Julia Jesse. Julia Jesse will be joining us, co-host of Clapback Culture. There she is. She'll be in last Thursday. Like I said, it was lit. We had a good show. Yeah,
they're going to keep it lit on Clapback. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Jules all the things they're going to be talking about this week.
All right. Get ready to get out of here, Trey Holiday. Any last words?
Oh, for me, always see yourself as a part of the solution. I think this message never gets old because solutions are always needed. As we see, progress is pushed forward when there's some champion there in all of these different sectors to move the messaging forward. So see yourself as a part of the solution. Be one of those champions.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Be part of the solution. Oh, I told my mama I would say this today. I put up a clip on my Facebook story, on my Instagram story from 3 years ago. Yesterday, I was at the University of Dodoma in Tanzania, and I was talking to young media students who were there. And this was, I guess it was the day after Nipsey got buried, after the funeral. And, my message to them was like, man, finish the mission. Mm-hmm. Some of you guys might be thinking about dropping out of school. Finish the mission. You know what I'm saying? Push your legacy forward. But I translated that in Kiswahili, maliza kile kitu, finish everything. So I told my mom was like, that sounds so good in Swahili, boy. before you end the show, maybe you can say that for everybody. So for you, Ma, Maliza Kilikitu, finish the mission. On that note, we're going to get out of here. I want to remind you, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
What do I see through a lens of fear? 1,000 little steps to go. What do I fear after all these years? Lord knows I don't even know. I've been running on the edge of a sundial, sleeping in the shadow. I've been begging you to see me, then hiding beyond the unreachable. Looking out left on a right-hand turn, just trying to make a deal. A lazy shoes and love is a love that churn. That's the kind of food that heals. I've been searching for the end of an era, waiting to be ready. The world is bigger than a moment. Be steady, that's how you can feel it's real. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got used to hiding the holes. This old world got new tricks and I'm in the thick of it. This I swear I'm already sick of it. At least I found the antidote. Oh. I know no one is a shadow. 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 No one is a shadow. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got it.